I want to show a project that I've been working on, or at least some of the progress. I showed this previously. It's a um, role-playing game, essentially, where you can play a life in history over multiple kind of role-playing events and have that life progress and see how you do. There's no winning goal. It's just trying it out, seeing what happens to your life. So the first part is character setup. I showed this earlier, and this is a new kind of way of doing the character setup. It's essentially 4 separate chats for the 4 basic properties that I have here. I don't know if these are the right basic properties, but at least some of them make sense. You have to have a year, a location, and then information about your family, and then finally information about your personality. And each you can choose these in any location you want to, and then of course gender. Maybe not, of course, but indeed gender. So here, I think we'll start with a location this time. Will be an interesting place. So you see, there's a bunch of kind of options here. These were all generated by GPT, but statically. There's code that just has like 100 different birth locations in it. It can generate whole new ones, but it picks up a random selection for you to start out with. We could do something like, say, give a list of locations. I don't know, what would be interesting from South China. And really, I intended this to be more about to be about that process of kind of living your life. It should have actually understood this. You'll see over here are the queries that we send. So here we see the history. Now we say the assistant sent this first one, but we actually generated it in code out of those options. Small historical Chinese towns, let's say. So you have this chat interface of sort. I don't know. I don't know what the bi-ethnic minority culture is. That sounds interesting. Now, so when you choose one, it'll inform the other ones. The next thing we need to do is birth year, or we could have started with birth year. You'll see it actually generated this message. Here it needs to have the country because Dolly is not that obvious, I don't think. But it seems to be working. Okay. So what would be like a good, interesting historical time? Let's say, I don't know, a nice prosperous time, say. So again, now we have an age at a time. Here we'll have the family in this section. This one's a little slow to generate, and so we'll get new options in a little bit here. The family option, again, is like includes all the both basic family stuff, but kind of social class and ethnicity and such, which are important and interesting. All right, would be dedicated soldiers, scholars. Right now, these choices, it tends to often come up with essentially the same category of choices, and it does, it has culturally and time relevant things here, but it's not as wide a variety as I would like. Give a down and out. So let's see if we can come up with something else here. All right, I paused that while it was running, and it actually failed once, but it took 30 seconds to do that, so it is grinding hard in these. So let's see, what do we have here? We have struggling farmers, unskilled laborers, urban slum dwellers, the impoverished artisans, unemployed factory workers. I wonder what were there factories in this area at that time? I don't know. It does definitely get these historical details wrong, but it also knows a lot that I don't know about a lot of these places. Let's do I don't know. We'll do unskilled laborers. And let's choose a male gender as well. So now finally it's going to be generating this last item, though you don't have to choose it last, which is kind of the person's individual personality. So we'll let that run. All right, here we have a few options. The practical protege, streetwise scrapper, dreamer's escape. I don't know, let's try streetwise scrapper. That's always interesting. And finally, given everything, it will generate a name. You can choose your own, but I will take Jan. And lastly, it's going to grind through a whole bunch of details about the character to create a kind of final thing. So there's no more interaction, but it will work for a little while here. All right, it is finished. Here we see some of the basic information about the person, and then a biography that's going to be the basis for a lot of what comes up next. And finally, we have interesting dates and a location, some of which are far into the future, that we'll use later as proactive. Like this is a reasonable time that you might want to try doing some role playing. All right, so we have it saved. We're going to go over and now we're going to play it. Load up Yan Chen, choose our age. Let's start at 18, let's say. Now it's going to grind away again on a bunch of setup, which I'll pause for that. Okay, several minutes have passed. During that time, it has invented a life for me. This is a problem. I suggested to GPT that people don't generally go to school before 5 because it was sending 3-year-olds to kindergarten and such. Now it sends everyone to school, which is not realistic in many situations. So some prompt adjustments will have to happen there. But here we have like some events that happen. Some characters emerge from these events, and so on up until the age of our thing that happens here. And then we also generate some information about the location, which will inform how the scenario works. So expectations for the person. This is particularly important for female characters, as it will often have a modern take on what a female character would do, which is unrealistic. And so we have to be very explicit about what those gender roles might be. And as time goes, I expect that it could have more emphasis on social class and some of those details as well. And then it just has some different places here you might have things, and some interesting events that might come up that might inform some of these things. And then kind of like a general here's what it feels like is happening in here. And then we actually have a revised biography, which it formatted very strangely in this case. But this revised biography is meant to be something that takes into account the life events. This one is also too long. And then from there, it comes up with some possible things you could play through. So 2 rival street gangs, going to a pilgrimage to the Jade Mountain, secret meeting, a movement for social change, that comes up a lot, cultural exchange. There's definitely some work to be done here to make these clear, gripping, worth working on. But I don't know. Let's try street gangs, I guess. And now it's going to do some more setup, as is the case with this. Okay, it's done some setup. And here is some information about what's going on. Here's basic scenario information, the time. Try to ask it some of these questions like, why is this pivotal? Not because we'll necessarily use it, but because it puts GPT in a certain state of mind. And let's see, we want to launch it with actual discussion. And this is not used yet, but the idea would be that at some point we would have like use this end condition and ask GPT, is this over? So that it doesn't go forever necessarily. And then some information about the setting. And here's the characters. Unfortunately, I can't, I had a very hard time getting it to be concrete about characters, right? Gang members is not actually a great thing. And then here is the actual role-playing environment. So you have descriptions like this of the Dolly Market, and you have people talking. There's also some extra information. You'll notice that, well, that this is actually the full log, right? So it has biographies here. It has, it should have a biography of the gang members, but it doesn't because they're group, and I'm trying to get rid of that. So it's a little wonky here, but it'd be like, so as you can see, actually that caused a problem here. So I'm gonna redo this and hopefully fix this issue where it doesn't have any normal characters in this scenario. Okay, I made a new scenario that this time actually has another character, Niang. This is actually a character that appeared previously as a best friend. And then of course the when you have it identify characters, it often identifies people who aren't present at all. So who knows? It's this constant process of nudging. All right, let's see. All right, so we are in a mountain range and I found a hidden cave. Okay, Yan Chen enters the hidden cave boldly and Liang follows close behind. They move forward and they notice ancient markings on the cave walls. Wow, Yan, look at these drawings on the walls. All right. Okay, so here is where it's a little ungrounded, right? So it has these, there's supposed to be a treasure in here, and we are studying these intricate details, and there's this sense that there might be hidden treasure. The idea here is not that you like solve puzzles per se, and there's no one there to like tell you if you got the puzzle correct or something. Instead, it's kind of, I guess, simpler. So we could probably do something like we can just say like where the treasure is, right? I can make that declaration. Okay, the location of the hidden treasure has been discovered, right? So no location showed up, but I go with Liang map to the treasure. Okay, and we found the treasure. Let's keep this full bellies. So this probably roughly concludes this session. You see, like, there's definitely a lot of work to be done to like create creative tension, to have like things that you do or don't do, but maybe events that come upon you, challenges that you can't just like declare yourself to succeed from. Though of course the idea is like you're developing a character, you're not necessarily winning the game. When you're done at this point, there's a finishing step. Here we see the analysis that it created. Oop, it disappeared quickly. But that analysis is like, what did that whole log tell us about the character? What kind of things came out about them? And now we're back at the next step. Let's go forward to 25 and we'll update all this. Okay, so what happened there is, we used the analysis, we rewrote the biography. The biography now has these items about what happened. Here it's declared that in a moment of greed, he kept all for himself and his family. Oh, I didn't realize I was excluding Liang, but apparently that's how they interpreted it. And yeah, so there's a new thing. And then, given that, it played from age 18. Here we see the hidden treasure event. And then it goes to, we have some more. I lost a job opportunity apparently while working. I encountered a mysterious stranger. Here though, these need to actually conclude. Did I join the smugglers or not? It's unclear. See, here it seems like it's kind of like going off into a strange directions. Now there's rebellion. I don't know why it takes 4 years for Liang to figure out that I betrayed him. I guess I did join the smugglers, and then finally I make come back with Liang, and here's a new kind of like thing. It probably hasn't changed much, but the idea, especially like in modern times when maybe society is changing over the course of a life, I want to have like a new social expectations as things go through. And so here there's new things I can do, and so I could continue to play these things and move forward through the life, and then ultimately like end up with a long life with many events and story of this person. So that's where I'm at. A ton of things to improve and make better, but I think it's interesting as it is.